I'm ready.
Well, good morning, and a particular good morning to the people from Norway. I don't know whether we've got Norwegian cruises or not, but it's your national day, and therefore we play your national anthem. It's the 16th, no it's not, it's the 17th, should I say, the 17th of May. Looking at the wrong page here, the 17th of May, our national day for Norway. And a pretty miserable day for us here at Gulf Harbour. Patricia and David with you again, ZMH286, Gulf Harbour Radio, and we've had a very gusty night. It's calmed now, I might add, but it's just not been nice. 16 degrees, it's down to about 5 knots from the southwest. The barometer is just slowly rising, 1017.4. I think it's going to blow itself up today and have a nice day tomorrow, and then the usual miserable day for us on Sunday. We're getting used to that now. We seem to be getting into Fiji, no problem. Haven't heard anybody from Tonga give me a signal report. I do appreciate that at the start, because there's not much point in doing too much if we're not heard anywhere. So, just turning the heater off here. Oh, says David. But it does get a bit warm in this room. It's the one room in the house that's properly insulated. Okay, I wonder why. We have a bit of news this morning, not an awful lot of news, but a bit of news for you. And it looks like people will probably be hearing us now, the ones that left earlier. There's quite a few of you have got above the 30-degree mark and some hovering below it. So who knows whether you, those folk will hear us. But we've got quite a bit of interesting weather to cover, so hopefully by the time David starts on the half hour, those folk that are heading north will have broken through the 30-degree sound barrier that we have on 8 megs and be able to copy him, because it's quite important. I will be sending out a couple of emails to folk. Certainly if you're one of our supporters, you get an email if there's interesting weather. But there are a couple of people that have asked for it as well, and I will send out something following this broadcast just to make sure that you get the information, and probably tomorrow we'll do the same thing. Don't forget, tomorrow we don't operate Gulf Harbour Radio, but I will be on Tony's Maritime Net, which is 14315 at 2100 UTC, that's 9 o'clock New Zealand time. And although some of you are not ham operators, you can listen. And close to the 9:30 mark, I will give an update if that is required. Okay, moving on. I'll just see if there's anybody wanting to give a report. I haven't seen anything from Makushla yet this morning. Makushla, are you on frequency?
It's amazing what that did to the screen.
Nothing heard from Makushla. We'll try again shortly. Like to keep track of our single-handers. Anybody else wanting to give a report? If there's anybody who can hear somebody that I can't hear, please call relay. Thank you very much. Go ahead. you're not all that clear, Margie. Say again. I'm still not catching it. You're relaying for somebody, but I'm not getting the name. Over. Yeah, you are relaying, and I think I've got Pilgrim here as well. I don't know who you are relaying for. Over. Margie, go ahead, pick up that boat and give me their position. Over. Okay, you can't hear them. How about you, Pilgrim?
This is Eye Candy.
Oh, Eye Candy. You back in the water yet, Andrew?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, that's interesting because your signal's still the same. I was going to ask you to give a call, but no difference on land or on the water. Did you hear another boat call? Over?
Yeah, well, we're trying to relay for Ganesh. Ganesh, I can't copy Ganesh, but I do have his position from half an hour ago.
All right, thank you for that. Yeah, I wonder what's wrong with Fatty's radio. On 8 megs, it just doesn't seem to be working too well. He came through okay on 20 metres yesterday. Go ahead from half an hour ago. Southeast 8 to 10, and I missed the longitude.
170.
Okay, we have Ganesh. He's not going to hear us either very well. 29101740, but they're on their way to New Caledonia, so that's not going to be too much of a problem. Thank you for that. And I'll move on now to a little bit of news. If anyone else wants to come in, we will do that shortly. I'm not copying anyone in Tonga very well. Usually Whistler comes in quite clear, but it's not all that clear this morning. There was quite a funny article in the paper. Well, I thought it was funny anyway because I'm interested in foods, and you know that there's all this talk about these so-called super foods around that are absolutely wonderful for you, cure anything. We've all long heard about red wine with its resveratrol in it. It's meant to give you great cell protection, reduces the risk of cancer, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's. I wonder if it helps good propagation. But anyway, this article told you how much you had to eat or drink of these wonderful products to actually have any benefits. And there's 3 micrograms per bottle of this wondrous substance in a bottle of red wine, which means to have any benefit from it, you have to drink 200 bottles a day. That's quite a lot of wine, and I don't think your liver would cope with that, so maybe you'll just have to find something else. Blueberries have got the same compound in them, but again, you'd have to eat 10,000 berries a day. Now, boy, we get little punnets here for $4, I think it is, so that's going to be quite an expensive exercise. Chocolate, now that's of more interest to people. Theobromide in chocolate lowers blood pressure, but 100 grams a day might be interesting to start, but boy, you'd get sick of it pretty quickly, wouldn't you? And turmeric, that seems to be the latest thing. Curcumin is in turmeric, reduces inflammation, which is meant to be good, but you need 100 grams each day. I happened a couple of days ago to get a packet of this, what they call turmeric latte. You put it with hot milk. And so I made one up yesterday. Oh my God, it's disgusting. If anyone wants the packet, and there's quite a lot there, I wouldn't walk over hot coals. I wouldn't even walk over grass for it. So if anyone wants it, it's yours. And it leaves this horrible sludge in the cup that you basically have to, if you leave it, and if it dries, it's devilish hard to get out of. So I think we'll just stick with our usual foods. David will appreciate that. He's allowed a Whopper once a month. Don't think that there's anything good in a Whopper, but it does taste good.
Taste is what's good.
Oh, taste is what's good. Okay. All right. Another funny story from just local. An Auckland woman here was called to her ANZ Bank branch a couple of days ago to sort out her account. The IRD, that's our Inland Revenue Department, had paid $12 million into her account. And they wanted to know what was up. So she was actually owed $12,000, and the IRD had apologised, but her account has been frozen. She can't even get money out to get on a bus at the moment. It's not her fault. So what else? You'll recall all the fires in California last year. I particularly took notice of them because I lived in Santa Rosa for quite a few years. 85 died in that, and just a lot of destruction. Well, the investigation has now finished. It wasn't too difficult because the electrical company, PG&E, who owned the lines and operated the lines, did admit that they started the blaze. They have filed for bankruptcy whilst they deal with billions of dollars worth of claims. That's the trouble over there. It takes probably you'll be dead by the time any money comes from it, if they have any money left. If you want to get to Venezuela, you'll have to sail because the US has suspended all commercial flights, including cargo flights, citing just the political instability, the general instability in the place with lack of medical supplies and food and all the rest of it, and people trying to get out. So it's a very difficult situation in Venezuela at the moment.
That's a sad case because they had
sad.
wealth to unbelievable
When we
wealth.
went through it, was just, well, mind you, there was, when we talked to people, remember that big group that we had, quite businessmen they were, and they weren't very happy at the time, and that was a lot of years ago. West Point, and I didn't even know that they have women in West Point, but next week the largest class of African American women will graduate, 34 of them. Absolutely amazing. I hope they're not from Alabama, and hope they don't have any problems getting pregnant, because that could be of concern, because that bill has been passed and is generating an awful lot of fracas in America. Moving on from that, in the USA still though, the Trump administration has declared a ban on any tech made by foreign adversaries, claiming it poses unacceptable risks to national security. Huawei is, of course, on this blacklist, and it's a trade blacklist, so that they cannot buy any parts from a US firm for their products without approval. I don't suppose they want to buy any parts because they've probably stolen all the technology and built it in China anyway. Okay, well, there's a wrap up at the summit in Paris, the Christchurch Summit as it's called. A lot of countries have signed agreements on restricting stuff that really shouldn't be on the internet. Social media companies have signed. The USA is an exception, but Microsoft is going to try their best to urge them to sign as well. News for those Australians out there, Bob Hawke has died. He was Prime Minister from 83 to 91, quite a long-term Prime Minister. I didn't realise how old he was, 89. So he has died in Australia. Meanwhile, yes, it is a good effort. In New Zealand, we have a countdown to our 5 millionth person. I don't think the sheep will be interested. We've got 27.3 million sheep, so they still are going to outnumber us quite significantly.
We should have 100 million sheep.
No, we used to have 50 million.
50 million sheep.
Yeah, 50 million, but that's dropped down, so has the dairy cattle. But anyway, life expectancy. We've got all these articles in the paper, sort of every 10 years they've been showing us how it's developed and what's happened. Life expectancy now for a man is 68. So you're past
I'm
that.
shot.
Yeah, you're definitely shot. For women, it's 75. That's a big difference, isn't it? 7 years. That's because we look after ourselves with diet and exercise, quite considerably different from the men, based on the small sample of 2 in this household. Okay, let's have a look to see what's happening up there on streaming land. Marsden, wind southwest, 12, gusting 17, and that's from North Star. Thanks, Stephen Kim. They're leaving tomorrow, pending David's report. Oh, and they're actually up on board Messatroy. Nice day there, Cumulus, 10, 12 on the bar, stable, no wind. They're in the town area there, so probably wouldn't get wind anyway. And there's been a few, you would have heard me talk to Pilgrim, a bit of showers there, but that's about it. But there is a lot of weather to talk about, particularly for those boats that are on their way and hopefully hearing us. And again, I will send out an email just to make sure that people are getting it. I know we have got emails for Amazing Grace, XSS Strike, Lucan, and I think if you folk are talking to folk on the SOPAC net, you will get all the information you need. But here is David for the update.
All right, good morning. And again, I think we'll first look at the synoptic picture. The main player, of course, is our Tasman High, located just east of Sydney now. Central pressure 1030, 1031, right in there. It's ridging very nicely toward Tonga. Now, the axis is more or less aiming at Tonga Tapu, if you could picture that. And as the winds make the bend at the axis, they accelerate. That's due to Coriolis force, so they accelerate. And therefore providing nice, fresh trade winds at that point, say about 20 to 25 knots from there up to the islands. Now, up in the tropics, as I mentioned for the last two reports that we've done, we're looking at tropical disturbances. Two of them, actually. Yesterday, there was one, and it was located at 8 and 168, that's 8 south and 168 east. Today, that particular one has moved to 8 and 172 east, so virtually gone due east. The other one is approximately 12 south and 178 west, so it's on the other side of the date line. Now, I'm pretty happy to say that a number of you are paying attention to the weather, your groups and so forth, as we've gotten quite a few emails inquiring further about the development of these systems. And yes, the models are picking up these disturbances that I mentioned, GFS, EC, UK Met, CMC, JMA, Arpege. I've looked at all of those. All of them, to one degree or another, are picking them up. Now, GFS is working up the depression more than the others. That's normal. GFS tends to do that, although with their newest version of GFS, that should improve, which would be nice. Anyhow, they are forecasting a tropical disturbance / depression over Fiji around Sunday the 19th. It's going to affect Tonga as well. And now it's my feeling that these depressions are going to fade by probably the following Wednesday, Thursday, but we can expect a fair amount of convective activity, and that, as I said, that includes Tonga as well. So Fiji and Tonga basically this weekend and a few days into the next week. So those of you that are on your way, the emails that we've gotten is a concern about them and whether or not they should stop at Minerva Reef. So really, in summary, as I look at it, it does look like dirty weather for Fiji and Tonga over the weekend, right through the 23rd. So it may be a good idea to stop off at Minerva to wait this out. Now, the winds Sunday at Minerva, if you do get there, look to be fairly light and variable, probably southeast 10, maybe east-southeast. Hard to tell exactly what the direction is going to be, but not very strong. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is our high that's in the Tasman is going to strengthen. So the winds by, we'll call it Wednesday, which is what, the 22nd, that may wind up being, the winds may wind up being east-southeast, 20 to 25 knots at Minerva and to the islands. In other words, physically at Minerva, and if you were on passage from Minerva to the islands, you could expect that kind of wind, fair amount of wind, but a good direction for the most part. Those of you, though, that are going to Vanuatu or New Caledonia need not worry about the disturbances. They are going to basically head east and south, that general direction. So if you're going to New Cal or Vanuatu, you'll have moderate southeast winds right through the weekend, at which point you should be arriving, I would think, maybe by Sunday. Now, actually, for you guys, even out to Thursday, the 23rd, it should be pretty good. Good as gold, they say. Now, there is the idea of an embedded trough at that point that might be hovering around 25 south. This is Thursday, the 23rd. But all of you are going to be far north of there. You'll either be certainly you'll be north of there. So that trough should not bother you at all. Now, longer range, looking at later in the month, say around Tuesday, the 28th, I think it is, front looks to arrive New Zealand, closing any window to the north. The winds preceding the front are going to be northeast and right on the nose if you're heading up to the islands. But that's over 10 days from now, and as you know, that's just an idea of what may happen. So we'll have to see what's going on there for those of you that are not ready to go. Over to Tonga now, north of which lies our trough. I didn't go over that today, but that's the trough that runs all the way from the Solomon Islands in a general eastward direction. But it's up there, and it's north of Tonga. And of course, in that resides our disturbances. That's how they start inside these sort of troughs. What we wind up getting is wind from the equator. That's more or less a northeast direction, and they'll be clashing with the trades, and they start to spin up when that happens if other things in the atmosphere are just right. So that's the issue there. But for Tonga itself, expect some cloudy periods and isolated showers. The actual reports this morning, these are from the airports of Vavau, partly cloudy, southeast 5, barometer 1013. The Hapais reported fine, southeast 10, and the barometer 1013 as well. Tonga Tapu was fine, southeast at 6, barometer 1015. Now, by lunch, I would expect southeast about 15 in general for the group. Saturday picks up southeast 20 and probably higher gusts. And Sunday, the wind backs a bit. I think easterly is about 20, maybe rising to 25 at times. And Monday, it looks like east-southeast 25. And of course, expect convective activity throughout this period based upon these disturbances. Now, Fiji can expect fresh to strong winds through the weekend as well. Our trough is again currently just to the north of Fiji, just north of Rotuma actually, as it has been for a few days. And again, that's where one of the disturbances is sitting. So expect the trough to drop south over the group along with the disturbance. So anyhow, these projected disturbances do have cyclonic flow in them. That's why we give them the name disturbance. And that's going to intensify the trough. And the other one intensifies the first one. So it just is a big circle. It goes on and on. So expect plenty of rain, I think, to fill your tanks. I hope that'll happen. Fiji Met now continues its strong wind warning for all Fiji waters. Southeast winds 20 to 25 knots today, and probably 20 to 30 tomorrow. So needless to say, rough seas prevail. And one of my models, by the way, delays the cyclonic circulation actually to Wednesday of next week. That's the 22nd. So we'll see which of all these models winds up being the most accurate. Over to Vanuatu, imagery shows scattered cloud. The worst of it is to the north, as it has been. Not too bad from Anishem up to Port Vila. We're getting some pretty cool nighttime temperatures in the south still, down to 17°C. Now for today, in open waters, expect east to east-southeast winds, about 20 to 25 knots. Seas getting up there to 3 meters. It's quite rough for moving about. So expect these windy conditions right through the weekend. And for New Caledonia, imagery shows partly cloudy for the mainland and also the loyalties, and that would include our southern lagoon. Winds there southeast 15 to 20, but getting windier this afternoon. Looks like it may get up to 20, 25 maybe, gusts up to 30. So that's not very nice. Saturday looks like showers, east-southeast 20. Sunday about 15 knots, same direction. Although near Noumea, it looks like we may have some stronger winds. I would say 20 knots in the afternoon, might even have gusts up to 30. So those of you that like to play around Ile-Maître with your kites and whatnot, that's where to go. And as we've seen, that's where they do go. It's usually quite mob there, particularly on the weekend. All right, that's all I've got. Now, Patricia had mentioned the HamNet, which is on every day, but tomorrow, Saturday, at the end of the HamNet, I will give an update. I give an update on these disturbances, not a general update for your weather, but just those disturbances as they relate to Tonga and Fiji. Now, I know some of you, as Patricia said, are not hams, but you can listen. And the ones that are hams maybe could relay to ones that aren't. At least that's our idea. So hopefully that works out. That's about the best we can do for you. But we are looking, and we're concerned too. So with that, any questions come now, and I'll pass it over to the boss.
He said it'll be a bit of an act, I think, because of the frequency. So we'll just have to. I have to crunch some numbers today and see whether you'll actually hear us. Those people that are going. It sounds pretty strong winds out there. I've just had one from Ponyo. They're at 31 and 177 almost, and they've got 20 knots of south-southwest. I would like to try and find Makushla, and I'll ask you, I think Andrew, Eye Candy, are you still on frequency? And if you are, could you call for Makushla, please? Over. Yeah, Eye Candy. Are you calling me? You've really dropped away, Andrew.
Yeah, what a noise, yeah, what a noise. I'm sorry, this is Eye Candy.
Thank you very much for the try anyway. And I presume North Star heard the talk about the disturbances, so you will likely, possibly go into Minerva as well. There was a question that came up, but I think you've answered all that fairly well. Is there anybody else with any question? Please call. Oh, I just have to turn the radio down for that one. I didn't, it was too strong to pick you up, but go ahead. Over. Yeah, it's very distorted, but I wonder if you could just drop your power back a bit, or but go ahead with the question. Over.
We are around 330 miles from Derby. Sounds like from Derby's description. We need to keep moving rather than
Okay, what average speed do you work on? About 6 over?
We can't hold 6 years.
Just do the ETA.
Okay, so your ETA at the moment is, let me see, it would be what, Monday, over?
Sunday night, Monday.
Okay, Sunday night and Monday, stand by.
Going into 7-7?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if you can believe GFS, you're going to have a fair amount of wind and rain up in the Savu Savu area, not so much in Viti Levu. If you wanted to think about making an alternate destination, the winds, if this happens, the winds are going to be cyclonic, so they're going to wind near Savu Savu. They're going to wind up being out of a northerly quadrant, whereas if you're aiming for Kendavu and Viti Levu, you'll retain the southeast winds. So that's what it looks like at the moment. Now that's GFS, and let me look at something else. Okay, looking at one of the other models, I'm not seeing that northeast wind yet on Sunday evening. Let me look at Monday morning. Yeah, it's starting, the wind Monday morning is just starting to back, but no northerly in it. So Savu Savu could be doable, but the odds of running into convective activity are much higher. Even with this model, the situation is better if you were to do the Kendavu, Viti Levu mode. But things are changing. So if you could listen up maybe tomorrow morning, we'll talk about it and see if anything changed at all. Over.
Thanks very much for this, David. We're welcome to
All right, and if anybody wants the email update, just send us an email, ghradio@extra.co.nz, and I'll get a list together to do an update around the 9 o'clock mark tomorrow. Anybody else?
Hello?
Oh, there was somebody there. I'll just turn the volume back up again. Go ahead with your question. I will need a relay for that. Could I have a relay, please? Over. I need some help, folks. We can't help you, and we try to help everybody, but I cannot copy that station, so I will need a relay. That station, could you please go ahead with your question again, and someone will relay. Radio check. Well, I tell you what, it didn't pass very well. I did get that, though. But it's just not all that strong and clear. So I'm not sure where you're broadcasting from, but yep, I did work that one out. But when you call, just make sure, because it's not all that clear, that you try and speak as loudly as possible and enunciate and make a bit of a space between words. But it was not very clear. So maybe a bit more work on a ground plane or whatever. Okay, well, it sounds like that's about it from everybody. If you do need an update, I will be putting some information on the CruiserSat.net. I will be responding to the emails from folk that I mentioned before, so just keep in touch with them if you need to, and we'll update you with what's going on. It looks like there is a little bit of up and down between models. It will be interesting to see if North Star leave. North Star are going to arrive 7 days from tomorrow. David, if you would mind having a look at that.
was it?
That would be, let me have a look at what date it is. It's the 18th tomorrow, so it would have to be the 25th. So they would be looking at arriving on the 25th. Over. Oh, well, not over. He's right here. I'll just tap him on the shoulder.
Looks like convective activity. Looks like a trough.
Yeah.
Where are they going?
Take it? Sorry.
All right, looking. It's a Saturday, I guess it is Saturday. From what I can see, just briefly, it looks like easterlies for the most part. And convective activity, the trough, looks like it has certainly dropped down. And strength-wise, we'll call it 20 knots as a mean. 20 knots as a mean. Don't forget to apply my formula for wind. So there you go.
Well, while you're at it, Alchemy 2 wants to know about a departure from Opua in the next day or two. It's sort of, I think you've roughly covered that, but I don't know that you did really cover it. So you might want to look at these folk that are leaving tomorrow in the next day.
No, I'm not ready for that yet.
No, not ready for that yet, but how could you, that you're not here for the weekend. So hang on a minute, folks.
What does he want to know?
That's another one. Leaving tomorrow over the next day or two. Does it look okay?
I need to have ETAs.
No ETAs there. Sally, you might want to just send an email with a bit more information.
We need ETAs.
Need the ETA because otherwise we can't work through what it is that you're doing. We don't actually remember where you are going either. So that one I think would have to be left. Okay, no, I haven't got any information on Alchemy 2 at all here. That's interesting. It's not on my list, Alchemy 2. So, yep, sorry, we don't know what your boat is and where you're going and how you're getting there time-wise. So, all right, folks, I think we'll leave it there and we'll be back with you on Monday morning. Cheers all. This is Gulf Harbour Radio. Clearing the frequency, it's all yours. Tonga, 7 days came through. Alchemy 2, and 7 days. I wonder what sort of boat Alchemy 2 is. While you're at it, Sally, tell me what boat you've got, and David, I can put you on my list here, and David can look at 7 days.
It's the same as the other boat I just talked about.
Pretty much the same as North Star. So,
it's nothing, the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. All right, I presume you listened to North Star. Anything else? I'm going to look over your shoulder while you're doing that.
Oh, they're in the high. If they've been listening,
but in the high.
they'll have heard.
All right, that's about it then.